All right, coaches, tonight we got a special guest back with us again, veteran defensive coordinator Jimmy Whitfield. Did such a great job last time helping us out, understanding some things on how to go from even to odd. He's going to come back tonight and talk about those pesky overhang guys when it comes to pass coverage and what advantages it gives. So I'm going to shut up and let Coach talk.
Thank you, Coach. Tonight we're going to go over real specific our overhangs, and I define overhangs as anybody between the number one receiver and the tackle box. So you can call it what you want. Some people, we call it a star for the strong side. For us, a strong safety would be the weak side, but it could be Sam, it could be Jack, it could be Pony, whatever you call it. It really doesn't matter. They still have the same job regardless of their name. So we'll get right into it. And see if you can see that, Coach.
It's coming up. We got it. Go ahead, Coach.
All right, good deal. All right, first we'll talk about alignment, and I put the overhangs in black just so it's easier to see. I'm mainly going to talk on the strong side right here, but I'll quickly talk about the weak side at the end there. But the overhang right here, we play them inside leverage there. And I won't talk anything about run just so we can get down to just the pass coverage part of it. But we play that player inside. There's very few occasions where we alter that, but we always play this guy inside. As far as overhangs, I always tell those guys, you might as well get ready for it. You're going to be in conflict more than any other defender on the field. This area right here, you can see the cursor, offenses love to hit that area. That's the place that they want to attack a lot of times in the flat just because it's easy throws and it's quick throws. So this guy's always going to be put in conflict. He's going to be put in run pass conflict, and he's going to be put in conflict shallow or depth, vertical conflicts. So as far as their coverages, they're a seam curl flat player. I've heard people call it skiff or scuff, but it's seam right up the hash there, curl in this area, and then to flat, and it's in that order. So I always say you always take care of here and then worry about working out, because you always want to take care of that. As I always tell them, this is an easier throw here than over here. That's a longer throw. We want to take care of that first. So our coverage priorities there, you can see them there, is inside to outside. So we want to take care of here first, then deal with out there first. You also want to take care of deep first and shallow first. A pass right here is more dangerous than a pass right here. So we want to make sure that we take care of our first priorities first. So we play inside to outside, and we play deep to shallow. All right, you see up here at the top, overhangs, read the release of number 2. So there's the number 1 receiver, there's the number 2 receiver. So we're going to read the release of him. And I tell them there's only 3 things he can really do. He can go inside, and I've got it on there, shallow, mesh, drag, whatever you want to call it. He's moving inside across the formation. He can move vertically, straight up the field, seam, corner, post, anything that pushes vertical past you. And then the out, whether that be an out route, shoot, or a bubble. Okay, so we'll talk about each one of those quickly. The first one on there, inside. If this guy goes inside, we don't want this guy chasing him. We don't chase him through a zone. We're not playing man-to-man. So if he goes inside there, we always say you try to get under 1. Try to get underneath number 1. Because there's nobody else out here that can invade your area more than this guy. So this guy's gone. Our focus goes to number 1 right there. So if he does a curl, if he does a slant, you're right in that window. If he goes vertical, now your next option would be somebody out of the backfield or somebody dragging across the field. So if 1, 2 goes away, we try to get underneath number 1. We also say in to let the Mike and Will know, and the backside guy, that they got company coming. Vertical, okay, if he just pushes straight up the field, we want to always reroute the receiver, especially in cover 3. You don't want receivers right at the seam right here. We're strong here. We're strong here. You don't want them in the seam. So we want to reroute that receiver. If possible, we want to push this guy right here, and we want the corner to push that guy right here. 2 players are right on top of each other. It makes the job of the free safety a whole lot easier if they're all over each other. Receivers don't like to get touched. They want to run around, not get touched, and have their fancy gloves on, and nobody touches them. That's the life they want. We don't want that. We want to reroute that receiver. Any chance we get, we want to put our hands on him. So he wants to collision and carry. Collision that guy as much as he can without turning his body. He can get a shove on him, but he's got to get back square because we are playing zone. We want to collision and carry him to the free safety. We don't want that guy to touch him and then get hit and then throw the ball right there in that window right there. We want a collision and carry him to the free safety. No more than probably 10 or 12 yards. And then the out. If he does just a 5-yard out, we want a collision if we can get our hands on him. If he does an out, we're going to keep our eye on number 1. If number 1 goes vertical, then we can hug all over that number 2 because there's no other threat. But if 2 does an out and 1 does a slant, basically 1 and 2 have just swapped. So now your new number 2 is the number 1. So we always make sure that we keep our eyes on number 1 as much as we can because those 2 can cross in a hurry. Okay, so that's inside, vertical, and out. The bubble route is the only thing that might be a little bit different to them. If this guy bubbles out, we teach them you relate to it. Because if he bubbles out and he just runs right there, well, any kind of route right here is wide open. Slant, curl, squeeze, whatever you want to call it there. So we relate to it. He opens this way, he moves this way. So if he runs any kind of slant, he can help there. Then if his quarterback turns his shoulders, now we're jumping all over that flat route. But we don't immediately just jump on the flat route. All right, so let's look at a couple clips. I think I got about 9 to look at here. The first one is an in route. So here's the number 2 receiver. He's going to run in. Now this is one, some of these, probably more than half of these, we don't do what we're supposed to. But some of these, we got players that are normally playing different positions. We're having to throw some things together. This guy's normally an inside linebacker, so we had to throw him out there at the last minute. So he's probably going to do some things that are not correct here. So we got an in route with number 2, so he should immediately get under number 1. Right there, he shouldn't be chasing that. That should be an in. I think we had an inside blitz there. In, letting them know it's coming, and he wants to get under that route to take away that window right there. So if he gets under it, he'd be sitting right there. There's nowhere for him to throw it. So that's why we want to make sure that they're in that window as long as they possibly can there. Out route. Okay, this one will be, I believe, right here. Yeah, all right, here we go. You overhang right here. I'm not sure what, I think this guy ran a wrong route. 2 does a wheel right there. And this guy, and the overhang does a really good job of sitting there and not just jumping all over this, this swing route. If he jumps all over the swing route, then that's going to be wide open. So he sits and waits. Once he throws it, then he goes to it. Now, he doesn't do a good job of tackling here. This is not real good. But he played the coverage actually not too bad. I'll run it one more time. Just got to get better tackling in space there. Another out route here at the bottom. This one he plays it really well. This time 2's going to go wheel, but 1 is going to switch like we just talked about. And his eyes immediately see 1 and jumps on that. Takes away the tunnel.
Stay square that time.
2 goes out. 2 goes out, his eyes go to 1. Does a good job on that. Another, this is the bubble here. He doesn't do a bad job of staying and not jumping all over, but once his shoulders turn like they are right there, we want to jump on that, put our foot in the ground and come forward. So he's a little late on that, but he does a pretty good job of trying to stay in that window as long as he can. One more time. Opens, he just got to put his foot down. Now, what he doesn't do well is once that ball crosses his face, he's got to be an inside-out player. He wants to run that player to the sideline and use that third defender over there. Yeah, he doesn't leverage it like he's supposed to, but he starts off okay as far as his coverage. Another bubble here at the bottom. There's one he won't. You just want him to get depth and get in that window. They run slant behind him. He just needs to be depth and try to sit in there as long as he can. If he turns his shoulders to that swing route, then he can come forward. It's too big of a window there. Another bubble. And you can see whenever they jump all over, this is when he jumps all over. It's wide open. Okay, now in defense of that kid, we kind of game plan that they like to throw the bubble a lot, so we hug that a lot more than we normally would. We'd rather them throw that slant than throw something easy. So that was a little bit of game plan, but you can see how it opens up when he does do that. This is just a 5-yard, he'll speed out. You just got to stay in that window more. Here's another example of a player. He's an inside guy playing outside. We'd rather him sit there as long as he can. That's a longer throw. By the time he gets there, he can react. He sits in that window. As long as he can take that away a little bit better. I'll sit in that window a little bit more. These are the two vertical ones we got. The first one's a stick route. They're going to give us a stick right here, and then they're going to give us a swing with it. And obviously, they're reading that overhang. If that overhang jumps on this swing, they're going to throw the stick. If he sits on that, they should swing. Now, in this case, he probably should have thrown the swing, but this guy's going to Notre Dame, and I don't blame him for throwing it to him. But we want to physically play this, as I say, physically play that, visually play this.
Yes.
You want to hang on that stick as long as you can, because you should have the mic coming to help. That's really not a bad job. He just got to jump on that. And then if he turns the shoulders to throw this, you come off of that. But we always want to take care of the deeper route first. So one more time, and then we'll go to the last one. And this is straight vertical up at the top. You can see him rerouting pretty well. He reroutes him, and it helps these safeties out tremendously when they do that. Gets him off track, messes up the timing, and then you got a safety coming over. If you notice at the bottom, we get a reroute here, which frees this guy up to get the pick. But when you reroute those receivers, it really throws them off, and it really helps the safeties out a good bit. So one more time, and then we'll end it. Reroute, get them off track. Also holds the things up a little bit where you might get a little bit more pass rush if he's having to wait for them to get back into the route. All right, that's all we got, Coach.
Well, I think you're exactly right, because those offense coordinators, when you talk about counting the box, the down guys and the definite inside backers, that's very easy. But those overhangs, that's the ones that they absolutely get picked on. And if you're like me, it's kind of week to week on what that OC thinks he can get away with as far as them guys. You know, you made the point about they like to throw the bubble. that's it. I mean, that's become offense lately, is picking on those guys right there. They can't be right. You know, I found
Yeah.
that when you're coaching those outside guys, you find yourself saying, no, no, no. Oh, okay. A lot of times, because I mean, there's nothing they can do supposedly to quote unquote be right. But you made a great point about when that guy's trying to release up the seam, because I think I got two points to this here. I think zone coverage gets a bad rap. Number one, that you can't play zone coverage anymore with you know, spread teams. Well, I don't think you can sit all night in it, but you know, zone coverage is good. What's happened is a lack of teaching of the fundamentals and the technique to play that zone coverage, you know, and like you said, the eye discipline. And then, you know, the next thing is, well, what you gonna do on the vertical, where you get physical and knock it down and reroute it. And that's how you play zone coverage, you know. And like I said, I just think people give it a bad rap now, you know, nowadays, like it's not the thing to do. And you don't have to sit there and route read or go man all night long. You don't. There, you know, when it's third and long, I like to play zone. I like to keep it, like you said, keep it in front of me. Keep it in front of me.
Yeah.
We'll rally and make the tackles. I mean,
Well, it's always good to have defenders looking at quarterback rather than looking at receivers.
Yeah.
You got a lot better chance.
Well, you know,
Things like that.
And especially with this all the crazy spread stuff now, that quarterback's usually an athlete. When I got 5 or 6 guys with their back turned, I mean, how many times have you covered things perfectly, and then the quarterback's running down the field for 20 yards? You're like, well, I don't even know what to say about that. So I think zone coverage is still very, very, very valid. And if you can teach those guys right there how to at least be serviceable, you got a chance on Friday night. I really do. So, listen, I appreciate you made some great points and things to draw from. Coaches, don't forget to subscribe and like the page, and you know, leave us some comments and questions. And Coach, I appreciate it. Another great one. Thank you.
No problem. See you.